The kick drum is the foundation of every track in electronic music, and at the same time is the one thing the producers struggle the most with. Finding the perfect kick can be a challenge because every track demands something different, the length, the key, and sometimes phase relationship as well. So in this video, I'm gonna show you how you can design the perfect kick so it fits all your tracks at every time. Let's dive in. Everyone knows what a kick drum is, so just so you can listen to it again. This is a really good fat kick drum that it sounds really nice, but how is it composed of? How do we make it? And what are the parts of the kick drum? So we have a couple things that we can go through. First, we have the click. This is the attack of the kick, and this is the initial clickiness from the kick drum. This is just this initial transient, and you can do it sometimes by layering, sometimes just by adding another clap or another hi-hat just to get that initial transient into the kick. Now we also have the body or the punch of the kick, which is a little bit longer. It's this part over here. And if we play the click and the body, now we have a little bit of body and a little bit of click. Now we can also listen to the subby part, which is this part over here. We can even see it and it looks like a sine wave sub. And if we play them both together, it sounds like this. But when we look into a kick drum, and we can check this image over here, there's a couple of different envelopes that we can go through it. For example, if we're thinking about the amplitude, we can just see that the amplitude goes this way. It starts high, we can do it over here. We can start high and go all the way down. Now, we also have the pitch envelope, which is we're not seeing over there, but you can see that the wavelength over here, it starts small and then it goes a lot bigger. Why? Because we're doing a pitch envelope that also starts big and then it goes small and pretty much goes all the way. The amp controls the amplitude, so how long and how big it is, and the pitch controls how small the waves are and how big they become over there. Essentially, we're controlling which note is the kick in. That's this pitch amplitude that we're talking over there. And to see everything that I've just mentioned to you, you can use different tools. For example, you can use a scope. You can use a spectrum to see the frequencies that we're playing. And we also have the spectrogram, in which we can show how is the pitch going along with the kick. So you can see that it starts high and it goes all the way down, creating kind of like a swell down, as I've mentioned before. But how can you make something like this? We're going to get started just by creating a simple MIDI, which is just going to be 4 sine waves. Now, because we want the kick to be in G, we're going to use G here. And we're going to get started here just by using Serum. And we're going to get started just by choosing a sine wave. Default waves, sine wave, and that's it. But to make sure that we control everything that we're doing, we're going to open here millimeters, the spectrum, and also the scope. And that's how we're going to start. Here we have a sine wave, but it doesn't sound right because if we play this with our MIDI, it's just a lot of sine wave and not how it should be. We need to modulate the amplitude envelope as we saw before. And we're going to do this with LFO1. We're going to set this to envelope. We're going to put this here, make this a little bit bigger. And we're going to put the level all the way down, put the LFO here, something like this. And this is how it sounds. But you can see how it moves. It's not constant. And that's a problem because we want to always hit the same way. So we can start by putting here the randomness down. And you can see that now every time it hits like this. But to make it a bit smaller, what I can also do, I'm going to use Hertz. And I'm going to slightly make it until the point that I want, which is here. And that's a good length. Normally, I wouldn't recommend your kick to be smaller than this, and I wouldn't recommend it to be bigger than this, but a little bit, that's fine. So let's keep on going. Let's set up our pitch envelope because we have to make this sway from the top to bottom. We already have this over there with the amp envelope, so now let's set up the pitch envelope. We're going to do this here with LFO2. We're going to make this like this, envelope, and something like this is good enough. Doesn't need to be all the way till the end, but something like this is good. And we don't need it to be something like this. We can also add a bit of a curve into it, and we can set this into the CRS. Make this unipolar, so you can press Alt-Shift, and this makes it unipolar. If you're not being able to do it, you can go here in the matrix and set this to unipolar. That's how it should be. Now we can make this a little bit smaller, maybe somewhere like this. And you can see how we already have a pitch envelope there. But again, this is a bit too long. Let's make it a bit shorter, maybe. Something like this. If you're making too fast, if you're making too small. We want it somewhere like this. Why use hertz instead of BPM? Because then we can control exactly to the hertz. It's a lot easier to do it this way. So now we have a kick that sways also in amplitude and in pitch. Let's go to the next step. Now it's time to make our transient. So let's use oscillator B. We're going to put this to +2. We're also going to put the wavetable up to use something like a square wave. And we're going to use LFO3 as an envelope. Put it to hertz, make it super fast because the transient is super fast. Something like this. Level all the way down. And let's listen to how this sounds like. Maybe you can leave it all the way up. But that's not how it should be, because we should be doing something like this and also something like this just to be really a transient. But you can see that, again, it's not stable. How can we make it stable? First, we go here in the randomness. So it always hits the same. And the second thing that we can do is change a little bit of the phase. Maybe even change this one. Essentially, we're trying to find the best combination between the transient and the body, which is the sine wave, to find the best way that we can do our kicks. You can also make your transient a bit faster if you want to, or a bit slower. This is sounding really cool. But another thing that you can do in your transient is add a bit of distortion into it, just to add a bit more grit. So we're gonna go here, distortion, put it somewhere over here. We can put it pretty much at 9 o'clock. And we're going to add a bit of LFO3. So it's only adding the same length as this one in the transient. And you can see how it adds a bit of spark in the end. But let's say that you want something that it's a bit different and you don't want to make the transient this way because you want something a bit more natural. Another thing that you can do is you can deactivate this one, activate oscillator C, go into samples, factory non-tonal, noises, attack, maybe something like this. Something like this could be interesting because it has a lower character, but again, level all the way down, LFO3, just to add a little bit, and you can control how much you want. You can even combine, because now we have a really precious attack and also a really textury attack as well. And if we look at it, we have exactly what we wanted for. We have a kick that goes up and down. We also have a nice pitch envelope over here. Let's say that we think this transient is a bit too loud. We can shape it. Or even give a bit more of it. Depends on what you want. Now, to finish everything, sometimes you may not want the transient to be that high-endy. And what you can do for this is add a filter, selecting A, B, C, and we're going to add a little bit of cutoff over here. Maybe like this, 3 o'clock, and add a bit of resonance. And now we can add a bit more loudness into this. Maybe a bit less resonance. To get a kick like what we've listened before. Now, if you want to take this even further, one thing that you can do here, because we already have an attack coming from these two elements, what you can do is just go into the LFO1, which dictates over here the sine wave. Then you're going to do a slide, something like this, just to take the attack away from this. and leave the attack mainly belonging to the LFO3 and not in the LFO1. It doesn't need to be exactly like this one. You can shape it to how you want it. And this is awesome because this way you can shape it precisely to your track. So something that fits your track, fits your bass, and sounds perfect whenever you're listening to your song. If you want to take this deeper, you can go over here in the description below and find our full course in which we show you how to build the perfect low end, how to match your kick to your bass line, and how to build the bass line to your kick so you can have the best low end possible. If you're ready to take your low end to the next level, you can check out the courses in the description below at Production Music Live's website. This is Lilo Ready from Abstract Music Lab signing off. Ciao.